Clocking in at only 100 plus hours, yes, it took me this long to beat this game, and I know this game just came out like 3 months ago, but I finally did it. I beat Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, or, as it's just called, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I know I said the Yakuza part. I'm so used to calling it Yakuza, I'm sorry. This was one of my most anticipated games this year, so consider me really excited for me to gush about how much I enjoyed this game. But it definitely does have some problems. But first, let's talk about some of the positives I have with this game. I do think that gameplay-wise, the RPG mechanic is definitely a step up in the right direction. It was a little bit rough back in Yakuza Like a Dragon, but here it definitely felt like that RGG finally found their footing on how they want to present an RPG game, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. There's a lot more variety of jobs for you to do, which I personally do appreciate, but we also have some returning ones as well for people who absolutely love the jobs from the old games and don't want to do the new jobs in the new game. But either way, there's a lot of variety, and I also do like the option of how you can be able to mix match whatever style of gameplay you want to play as with your characters, or your party members, if you will. Like, for example, if you want to play as Kasuga and you want to do the hero job, you can be able to do that, but you can also be able to transfer some abilities from some of your other jobs as well, and I personally do think that's a nice little interesting touch. It's a Yakuza game, so definitely expect to do a lot of side content, and I mean a lot. We definitely do have a plethora of things for you to do, like playing darts, doing karaoke, playing classic arcade Sega games like, Virtua Fighter and Spike Out, Mahjong, which I still fucking suck at. So, if there's any Mahjong experts out there, please let me know, because I would really want to be good at Mahjong so I can be able to get the points. And then you got the really weird stuff. You also have the stuff like, say, Sujimon making a return, only except now you can actually be able to play like a traditional Pokemon game. You can be able to battle trainers and stuff like that, and collect more Sujimons in your Sujimon deck, or whatever it's called. It's a lot of fun, but a little bit tedious and grindy, but we'll get to that later. And then you have the Animal Crossing game called Dondonko Island, which I highly recommend you should do, because you should be able to get a lot of money very quickly. I was able to get the most powerful weapon for Kasuga's class literally like halfway through the game. It is that insane. I also felt that the characters are a lot more enjoyable in this game. I absolutely love Kasuga as a character, and I love everything that he does, so Kasuga, my boy, keep on finding a good fight, and I love you for that, man. Generally, I do. And the soundtrack is still bopping as ever, it's Yakuza or Like a Dragon. Of course, it's gonna have a great soundtrack. You can't go wrong with a bad Yakuza soundtrack. That being said, there are also some negatives that do kind of halter my experience a little bit from giving this a very high score. As much as I love the improved RPG mechanics, I do feel like that the game at times does tend to get a little bit too grindy. Not as bad as it was in Yakuza Like a Dragon, but it is still pretty noticeable. But the devs definitely do try to make it not be as tedious as it was in the previous game. Granted, it's still an issue, and you will still need to grind a whole lot, and if you're not really a big fan of that, then I strongly recommend you probably not play this game if you hate grinding so much. Another issue I have with the game, and honestly this is the biggest factor for me, is how much of a letdown the story really is. Now, I'm not going to spoil anything. Obviously, of course, the game just came out, so spoilers, zip my mouth shut. I'm not going to reveal anything. But I do want to say that the first few chapters of the game is fine enough for what it is. But then around like chapter 7, chapter 8, it's kind of where it starts to fumble a little bit with its storytelling and layout structure. There's a lot of unanswered questions that really don't get answered at all in the game, and some of the characters that were introduced at the beginning of the game don't get reintroduced until like way later into the game, which I feel like kind of is a little bit of disappointment, because I love the characters in this game, but they don't really have enough time to shine. I'm not going to spoil who it is, but all the way up until I believe the final chapter of the game, one of the important characters from the previous game shows up, but they don't join your party until like the very last chapter of the game, or second to last chapter, but still, it's unfortunately very disappointing. Another issue that I do have with the main story is the fact that halfway through the game sometimes they would like force you into doing these tutorials for the side stuff. Now, as I mentioned before, I love doing the side stuff. I love doing the Sujimons. I love doing the Dondoko Islands. I thought they were really enjoyable. What isn't fun, though, is forcing me to do a 30-minute to almost an hour tutorial on how the mode works while it completely interrupts the flow of the main story. I hate when games do this, and the fact that Infinite Wealth is doing the exact same thing honestly gets my nerves a little bit. That being said, though, I still enjoyed Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. It's a great game. I enjoyed it, and I definitely do think it's worth picking up if you're a big Like a Dragon fan. If you love Like a Dragon or Yakuza, then you will absolutely love this game. It still has the same quirky Yakuza humor, it still has the great characters, and the fun side content it has, and I kind of walked away satisfied for what it was worth. I'm definitely going to be able to give this game maybe an 8 out of 10. I was originally going to give it a 9 out of 10, but I felt like that some of the main story elements did kind of, take that away a little bit, but I still think it's a great game, so definitely pick it up if you can.